Yes, that's very, very interesting. In fact, when I read your 2 hour books, the 2 hour books that you've written, I think that comes from the other series that is called A Taste of Islam. And you've given a taste of Islam to everyone who is affected by Islam. So, for instance, let's introduce our uh, viewers to your series, what is called The Taste of Islam. So, who are the people who are getting this taste of Islam? One, that is. And the second, uh, let's talk about the interesting categories that you brought on. Like, for instance, women.
Yes. Well, I have a whole book according to the doctrine of women because I was raised by my mother and my grandmother, and I have 2 daughters and 3 granddaughters. I love women. I mean, I just say that in the point of view of I love women, period. I'm not just in any sexual sense of the word. I mean, just as people. And when I found the cruelty of Islam towards women to be beyond control. For instance, I'm going to give you an example of my method. Muhammad married Aisha, who was his favorite wife at 6, and consummated the marriage at age 9. Well, this, I think, is the wrong thing because I do not believe in child brides. Therefore, I oppose it. But the only reason I can oppose it is it so that people can see that it is the way of Islam. Having a child bride is quite common. I know a woman who was married to a 52-year-old man when she was 14. Now, what do those two have in common? So I wanted people to see that the reason that women get beat in Islam is there's a verse, Surah 4, women 24. It gives women the right for their husbands to beat them. The Hadith has cases in which one of my favorite Hadiths is, never ask a man why he beats his wife. Well, I hate that. And I want people to know that it was Muhammad who said that, so that when a Muslim beats his wife, he's not breaking God's law. Muhammad beat his wife, so you can beat your wife. So that's one of the things. Women, I also do one on Christians and Jews. I do one. My most interesting one, I think, is the doctrine of slavery. It turns out that no one knows the history of slavery, and no one wants to even know about it. In the United States, slavery is considered something that happened only for 200 years when the evil white man on wooden ships went to Africa, captured Africans and brought them back. That is not what happened. The doctrine of slavery means that Muhammad had slaves. He had white slaves, black slaves, female slaves, sex slaves, Arab slaves. He had all kinds of slaves. I find it interesting that the language of Arabic has more words for slave in it than any other language in the world. So the way the black Africans came to America was the man on the wooden ship sailed into a harbor where a jihadist had the slaves in pens, and there were bills of sale and cash was transacted. So, therefore, I wrote a book on slavery, the Islamic Doctrine of Slavery, because people need to understand that slavery is not an accident, and slavery is still going on today in Africa. And what's interesting is that Black Americans don't want to know about it. They do not want to know at all about Muhammad, the slave trader. It's interesting. We had a famous sports athlete called Muhammad Ali, but his first name was Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay was an English name of an abolitionist, that is, someone who tried to end slavery. But Cassius Clay knew so little about Islam that he changed his name to 2 slaveholders, Muhammad and Ali. So we see that people do strange things because of their ignorance. And I'm a former teacher, and what I try to do is to make people aware of the facts of the matter and use fact-based reasoning.
Okay, you also, not only you dealt with slavery, you also dealt with how it affects women. Then you have dealt in detail about how the infidels get a taste of Islam. Would you like to elaborate that a little bit?
Could you repeat your question?
In your series, A Taste of Islam, you have looked at various people who are affected by Islam, right?
Yes.
And one of the categories, of course, is women. You talked about it. And another interesting category is the infidels. How the infidels, the non-believers, are affected by Islam.
Well, of course, that's all I care about is how we're treated. If a Muslim, I'm not anti-Muslim. If you'll notice something else here, I'm not talking about Muslims. Who I talk about is the doctrine of Islam. I don't talk about people. And also, I don't draw conclusions. As when I told you the story of Muhammad marrying Aisha, I don't draw any conclusions. I find that my audience can leave that up to themselves. So the kafir is the person who I'm a kafir. You're a kafir. And so everything I write is for us because we're the victims of Islam. Although I like to say also that the first victim of Islam is the Muslim themselves.